Hello, everybody. This is Boxing Bros UK. I'm Chris for my. I've changed the name for my Nigerian fans who watch this channel in Nigeria. I'm gonna use my Nigerian-born name, Ahis, and Chris, my middle name, Ahis Chris. It's a little change up there for you. Sorry, Dad. Right. And this is Andrew, the Boxing Brain, my co-host.
Hello. Hi, Chris.
How are we doing? Today's topic is Jared Anderson versus Martin Bakole. Okay. I think. Oh, do you want to start?
I mean, I don't mind. I mean, this is my probably outside of Crawford Madrimov. Well, even including that one, this is my favourite fight on the card. Quite by a long way as well.
This is
actually.
my favourite. This is my. This is. I'm watching the fight. This could be the main event for me. Like, I don't really. The Crawford fight, I want to see what Crawford's like. I love watching it. I love watching Crawford fight just because he's an all-time great legend. But, and I'm a big fan of his. But this is my favourite fight on the card that I'm most looking forward to out of all the fights on the card.
Yeah.
But yeah, take it away, Andrew. Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah. I've got a lot of thoughts. I don't know where to start. So it's interesting. I was watching the 2 hour kind of build up thing in Los Angeles. I think it was Los Angeles, isn't it? Yeah. And Sean Porter and a few guys were sort of really, because they're pinning the American boxing fans and the fighters are really pinning their hopes on Jared Anderson as being the next kind of flag bearer since Wilder. Right, they're putting a lot of hopes on him. And Jared Anderson, he's got that kind of swag in him, which I don't mind in a heavyweight. And we know about the silly behaviour, and I wonder whether they're a bit sick of him, his management team, and they've chucked him in at the deep end to see if he can swim in this fight. I think there's all sorts of things going on there. But I don't know. I'm sort of back and forth on this. I mean, you know, you look at his notable wins. I mean, outside of Charles Martin, which he laboured to a victory, obviously the recent fights against Rudenko and Merry weren't great. He beat Jerry Forrest, you know, who's a decent, had a good fight against Zhang back some several years ago, I remember. But my last point on it before bringing you back in, Chris, is that I was getting this sense that the Americans don't really seem to know who Bakole is. And they're basing a lot of this on the Michael Hunter victory. Well, Jared Anderson's a similar sort of, you know, got a bit more power but quick. So they're basing it on that and thinking he's just going to walk or just kind of bowl Bakole over. And I think they're in for a bit of a rude awakening, because I think they're sleeping on Bakole. Because over here in the UK, we know a lot more what Bakole's about and what he brings. So I don't know what you think about all that, Chris, but it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I think you're absolutely right. Like, whoever's matching, and who's Anderson's promoter?
PBC, isn't it? He's with the PBC.
Oh, is he? Okay. So yeah, they are sleeping on Bakole because all they know about Bakole is the Hunter loss. So, and like they just think that he's no good or whatever, or they don't really know much about him. And obviously, he's the first man to defeat Tony Yoka. Yeah. He knocked out Takam in spectacular fashion. Even though I know he was a bit busted, but Takam's always in shape, always ready. No one's really knocked him out that easily before. And Bakole hits hard. And like you say, who's Anderson beat? He hasn't really. I'd say Bakole's got the better wins. Tony Yoka is a much better win. Carlos Takam is a better win, because Jerry Forrest is just a journeyman that occasionally causes an upset. Rudenko is another one. His days are past him.
Washed.
So yeah. And like Charles Martin is like, I know he's a former world champion, but like every time he's in like a step up fight, he always loses, and he struggled with Charles Martin. He did. Martin hurt him. So if you can get hurt by Charles Martin, then if Bakole catches him, I'm telling you, he's gonna. Well, this is where we're gonna find out what he's made of. But one thing to play devil's
Absolutely.
advocate, my problem is like where I'm going to go with Bakole, I think, but Bakole struggles with fighters with fast hands. So obviously the Hunter
Yeah.
lost, smaller heavyweight, fast feet, fast hands. The Kuzman fight, very difficult performance, bit of a stinker because he struggled with the fast hands of Kuzman, and he's not got the best defense, not got like good ring craft, and like he doesn't know, like sometimes when he's getting caught, like tie man up and all that, he's not very good at like the holding and like being an octopus and spoiling and surviving if he needs to. He's just very all out aggression, hitting hard, fighting, and obviously he's not as quick as Anderson. So I'd say I'm giving Anderson more of a shot than I originally did, but I still think that Bakole for the win. I'd say 60-40 Bakole. Like I think if Anderson won, I wouldn't be shocked, but I think Bacole's going to win. Just he's got the better experience. I think he hits harder. He's got the better wins, and I just think he's just, even though he's not as fast, I just think he's just a little bit more polished. And Anderson's really, he's going to rely on his athleticism to win.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, made some good points there. And there was something you brought up I wanted to touch on. And I'd sort of considered this. They were talking a little bit about this in the breakdown I was watching yesterday. If Jared Anderson can punch with Bakole, I think that could be interesting because Jared Anderson, he is the more athletic, he's the quicker, and he could beat Bakole to the punch. If he's able to maybe slip the shots, punch with him, counter, he goes to the body well, Anderson as well, downstairs, upstairs, his shot selection's pretty good, his footwork's good, decent. I mean, look, Jared Anderson's talented, right? I'm not sitting here saying Jared Anderson's an absolute bum, he's a nobody. He's got loads of potential, 24 years of age, right? He's got a lot of... But if you compare, right, Jared Anderson to maybe an equivalent over here to Dubois, similar age. Dubois already kind of had a lot more kind of, he's been in there with Usyk, he's been in there with Gerald Miller. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen enough of Jared Anderson to get on this kind of hype train in America that he's the kind of next. So if he punches with him and his shot selection is good, and depends, you'll be, seeing the, what sort of shape Bakole comes in at. We know Bakole, 6'6", he's a big, and this is the thing as well, like he's a big, proper, hungry heavyweight. This is kind of really being chucked in at the deep end for me for Anderson. And like we said, and you alluded to earlier, we'll see if he swims in that deep water or drowns, won't we? We'll see on Saturday. Definitely.
That's it. This is Anderson's acid test. This is where we're going to see what he's made of, because Bakole is a serious fighter and it's a serious threat. And I'm picking him. I just think the way Bacole's going to win is he's got to, even though he's got the slower hands, he's got to keep Anderson at the end of that jab. Keep pumping that jab out, combinations, and just try and keep it long. Pumping that jab out. And then, because I do believe if he catches Anderson, I think he's going to jack. Because he nearly jacked a little bit against Martin.
Yeah. And we know Charles Mine was dispatched in absolute, by Anthony Joshua. But again, styles make fights. But another thing with Bakole, like, he is busy with that left hand. He is busy with that jab. So I think he'll just keep popping it in his face, popping it. And it's a hard jab as well. And he's, and he sort of just throws out that jab, and then he comes in with that right hook all the time. Have you noticed in his fight? Jab, right hook, and he bang, and he really, he's no joke.
And they're both, to be fair, both of them have got not the best defense. So it's going to be a real exciting fight, action-packed fight. And I just think whoever lands first, like whoever hurts the other first, is going to run away with it. And I know when Bakole smells blood, he's an excellent finisher. And I just feel
Predator.
that I think this is too early. Yeah, I think this is too early for Bakole. I think they're sleeping on him. They're underestimating him. You know, they're going off the hunt to fight. And yeah, so I'm going Bakole stoppage. I'm going Bakole from stoppage from round 6 onwards.
Yeah, I can see that. I think where my head's going with this is we're going to see Jared Anderson's heart tested. He's going to have a gut check. He's going to have his chin tested. But this will be, I think, before I sort of give you my prediction, everyone my prediction, I think if he engages early with Bakole, maybe they'll feel each other out for the first couple of rounds. If he kind of gets on the end of a couple of Bakole's jabs and feels that power and doesn't fancy it, he might end up running away the whole night. I hope he doesn't, but I think it's going to be a test of if he kind of feels it, whether he can kind of trade with Bakole, and then let's see.
I don't think he's going to be able to.
But I don't. My thoughts are similar to you. I don't think he's going to be able to. He might be game. I'm not sure. We don't know much about his heart yet. So I think he might get stopped in some fashion. The corner might even save him. I think the corner might even save him. Rounds 7 to 9, maybe. Let's go with that.
Yeah, that's what any late stoppage from round 6 onwards, I'm going for Bakole. Because it is. I don't know what was happening, but for me, it's too early to be crying, saying that you're under too much pressure. Like when he was crying to Roy Jones. It's too early for that shit. It really is. It's too early for that shit to be crying and acting all depressed when you haven't even done anything in boxing yet. Come on, man. But one other thing I'd like to say. Oh yeah, go on.
Yeah,
go ahead, Andrew.
No, I was just going to say, we don't know with Jared like how much of his head and how determined is he to make it as a top elite heavyweight? Because some of these antics in around, and you just described there, some of his demeanor. I don't know that Martin Bakole's coming to win. He's coming to stick it on him, and we'll find out more after Saturday. But how determined is he? Do you think, Chris? To act? Does he really want it? Does he want it?
And some of the things he says, like, "Oh, I'm going to retire at 30," or as soon as I win the belts.
Yeah.
Like, where? Who are you winning belts from? Who? When? Do you know what I mean?
It's the attitude. Like, the attitude for me is not. It's not sitting with me well. The attitude's a bit off. It's weird.
Yeah. But
anyway, you was going to say something.
I have a little rant. Okay. My only problem with Martin Bakole at the moment is him and his trainer with where they're putting pressure on themselves with their fucking stupid bullshit sparring stories. Again, Billy Nelson or whatever is Willie Nelson, whatever the fuck his name is, his trainer. Apparently, Bakole broke Dubois' nose, sparked him out in sparring. So now he's knocked out AJ in sparring. He's knocked out Usyk in sparring, and he's knocked out Dubois in sparring. All the former champions. Yeah. You can't if you're putting unnecessary pressure on Bakole. You're making out like he's this fucking. Everyone's scared to fight him because he battles in his sparring. Number one,
good points.
Sparring stays in the gym. You're not supposed to be discussing it. The way that you keep name dropping is making it look like you're bullshitting, like you're not telling the truth. Like, or you know when people like start believing their own lies, or like maybe they had a good spar where they got the better of it, and then they're taking it to the next level, like they destroyed them and they really hurt them when they weren't really hurt. Because sparring, you're learning things. But anyway, I don't want to digress into that, but you're putting unnecessary pressure on Bakole by running around, running your mouth saying that he absolutely destroys and knocks out all these champions in sparring, and now everyone's scared to fight him because he's been destroying people in sparring. Because now he might be going in there thinking that he's better than he is. Because sparring. Just you might have done these things in sparring, but it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean you can do it under the lights.
Yeah.
With the crowd there, with the pressure, it don't mean nothing.
Well worth bringing up, Chris. Well worth bringing up because I had a little bit of information as well. And also, some people are just better in the gym than they are in the ring. And look, Bakole's backed it up a little bit in the ring. We've seen that, and we'll find out even more on Saturday. But there was from Gerald Miller, interestingly, in our preview from our last video, Gerald Miller versus Ruiz. Gerald Miller was saying he came out of sparring. I think it was in the Fury camp. I think it might have been. Oh. So I was saying Miller was in Fury's camp. I think it was Fury's camp. Don't quote me on it.
Yeah, it was.
He come out in the interview and he said, I've just got absolutely beaten up bad. And they was like, oh, what, against Fury? And he was like, no, Martin Bakole fucked me up. So maybe said he was lighting him up all over the ring. Have just absolutely given him absolute hell. So maybe some of these sparring stories are true. Stories, I don't know.
Yeah, they might be true, but it's not the same. Like, look at David Price. He knocked out AJ in sparring. Well, dropped him or whatever.
Everyone.
Every time he got in the ring, what happened? He fucking jacked. He couldn't handle the pressure. So whatever you do in sparring is not the same as what you do in the ring. Do you know what I mean? So you can't, and obviously the way they keep running their mouth with these sparring stories, they really are putting pressure on Bakole that's unnecessary. And I'm not really talking about sparring stories. Not like Billy Nelson, or Willie Nelson. I can't remember what he's called. His trainer. He should know better. He's an old boy, old school. You don't talk shit. You don't talk sparring stories. Come on, you should know better. You should do better.
Do you think? It's a brilliant point, Chris. It had to be mentioned in this video. It's a brilliant point. It's important to make. The only thing, I'm playing devil's advocate again, trying to look from the other side. The only thing I can think, and I hope it don't backfire, is that Billy and Martin, because Martin sort of told the stories a little bit as well, is just to raise his profile and get him the fights.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I believe it is that because. I do believe he's a boogeyman, and people don't want to fight him because you don't really get much money, and he's a fucking hard fight for anybody out there. Anybody, he's a hard fight for anyone.
Horrible to fight,
and obviously, maybe he's doing well in sparring, and it's like he's a good fight, so you sparred him, he's good. Why is he not getting? I think it's frustration as well, not getting the fights that they want for Bakole. So, but like, now have a bit of class. That's not the way to do it. That's not the way to do it, you know?
The problem is, Chris, and I think you are almost going to talk about it, but it almost doesn't need to be said, is that if he gets starched on Saturday or puts in a bad performance, he's going to look like a mug. So this is the problem.
Yeah.
It's not going to look good, is it?
He's going to be the world champion of fucking sparring, does it again?
Yeah, and then because if he's got the Michael Hunter, another American, and a Jared Anderson defeat, you kind of.
Oh, sorry, sorry, Andrew. 1 second. Now go.
Yeah, so we don't want. If the problem is, if he gets starched against Jared Anderson, puts in a really sluggish, horrible performance and labours to a loss, all this stuff from Billy, his trainer, it's gonna not age well, and it's gonna mug him off. It's not gonna look good. So I just hope for Bakole's sake, because I'm a big fan of his, a big admirer. I just hope he absolutely puts on a show and can back up all of these claims. So fingers crossed.
For sure. I think he's going to put on a show, and I believe him. So my prediction, final thought, is Bakole stoppage late rounds.
I think the same. sorry to repeat just what you said, but I can't see anything other than that. Yeah, so I'm going with the same.
All right, that's the Boxing Bros UK out. There you have our final thoughts and predictions. Like and subscribe, please, guys. Like and subscribe.